Very good afternoon from here, and very good morning in your country, most worshipful
Yeah.
brother Christian. Our very special guest is most worshipful brother Christian Campbell, Grand Master of the Grand Lodge of Honduras. Many thanks, Christian, because you accepted to grant this interview to Masonic Forum magazine. It is a great honor for us. Christian, I know you are a member of the Special Forces. How does your top military education fit in with Freemasonry, which is characterized by tolerance? What you have brought to Freemasonry from military rigor?
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank you for giving me that opportunity to share uh, the knowledge that I have acquired, not only in the United States military, because I like to make an emphasis on U.S. military, so people don't think that is the Honduran military. As we all know, Freemasonry is very hierarchical.
Yes.
We have a hierarchy, just like the Catholicism, just like the military, we are vertical. Okay. We should be very disciplined to meet goals and manage our time wisely, as well as a balanced time between our family and our profane jobs, recreation, as well as Freemasonry. Furthermore, we have a vast amount of brothers that come from different backgrounds, as well as the military, and we need to work together for the same purpose and similar objects. What does this entail? Well, in Freemasonry, we all take a note that we have to remember at the altar, and that discipline comes from the people that have acquired from their parents. Some brothers have disciplined parents, which allow us to carry on these qualities and use them in Freemasonry. Tolerance being one, because it's very important, because remember that we have a different variety of brothers and backgrounds.
Christian, please introduce our audience to the Masonic life in Central America in general and in Honduras in particular, the history of your Grand Lodge, how many lodges do you have now, lodges in foreign languages, what rituals, what appendant bodies, international recognitions, and so on.
This is a very
Vast.
expanded, vast amount of information, but I will answer to you according to our history. Freemasonry in Honduras arrived in the 1700s. It was mainly brought by the travelers, speaking English travelers. They settled in the northern area of Honduras. Okay? Some came from the United States, and others came from England. Uh, Another thing is that because of the little evidence that we had, most of the evidence was destroyed. Some very small evidence, which I will share with you, something very important, is an apron that was granted in the 1800s by a lodge in the United States. And they used to call them mechanical lodges, because mechanical lodges was according to the trade. Let's say that you have mechanics, electricians, okay? So you have different types. And then you have other lodges, which mainly just, they were blacks. And they were not allowed to mix with the other lodges. So they are separated lodges. But I have an apron, and at the beginning I thought it was an England or UGLE lodge that gave a charter to Honduras, but it was one from Massachusetts,
Mm-hmm.
from the 1800s. I will share that with you when I share the pictures that I promised to you to give you.
Thank you.
So those were the first lodges that existed, and Freemasonry, that's how it arrives here, but not for everybody. Remember that during that time, maybe 15% of the population spoke English. The other 85 were natives and Spanish speaking. They were different dialects, but only very limited people spoke English, but mainly in the northern region where there was the principal trade in Honduras. And one of them being our 18th department, which is called Bay Islands, which is the second largest coral reef in the world. Beautiful for diving, beautiful vacation. So after that, Freemasonry in Spanish arrived in Central America. First, it arrived to Costa Rica, which most worshipful brother Francisco Calvo around the late 1800s. And a few years later, it arrived to the Consejo Supremo Centroamericano y Gran Oriente, so Great East. Now, during the 1800s, Honduras still was part of a land that belonged to Spain until 1821. Okay? All Central American countries and the southern part of Mexico, we got our independence from Spain in 1821, 15 September 1821. So after that, there's still some settlements in Guatemala, which it was the principal office per se for the Spaniards during the 1800s. Freemasonry arrives there. After Costa Rica, then it was in Guatemala. Guatemala was like to govern, gave birth to Freemasonry. Mm-hmm. That's why we have lodges that are from the 1890s and 1880s. So our first three lodges, which are one in the capital, the first one is called the Lodge Morazan number 14. Now we call Igualdad number 1. It was established in 1898, but it wasn't until 1911, which the government of Honduras were kind of permitted or allowed to work. Our second lodge was Eureka number 2, which is in San Pedro Sul, established in the 1890s as well. This lodge is going to be 125 years old next month. And our third lodge, which was founded in the city of La Ceiba, it was Atlantida number 16. Now it's called Agustín Disdier in Ceiba. These three lodges gave birth to the Grand Lodge. It took, remember, because in the early 1900s, the mail was in horse. So it took a long time to get to form the Grand Lodge by the process of amalgamation. Because our landmarks state that one Grand Lodge can be created if somebody gives you the charter, or three lodges come together and form a new Grand Lodge. Even though we were been working from long time ago. Now we have 13 lodges, which are distributed in different regions in Honduras, in our country. With the latest one, which was built or create this year, is Comayagua. The name of the lodge is called Centro America number 13. We have created one which is called an instance. We haven't given a charter yet because you have to wait a year. Our politics is you have to wait a year before the lodge is perfect lodge. We call justa y perfecta. You have to work 1 year. You have to meet certain requirements, and that is in Santa Barbara. That's going to be our lodge number 15. We have an internet lodge called the Temple of the Sun. That mainly, there is a lot of brothers in Honduras that are travelers, and we are open up in that. We're still working on that because we need to make it perfect, you know. I don't like to make too much emphasis on that because we have to make it bit and pieces. We have to work on it. We have different paramasonic clubs, like we have the Scottish Rite, we have the Shriners, we have Demolay, we have Widow Sons, we have Damas de las Acacias, which is Acacia Daughters. And we have over 200 recognitions worldwide, mutual recognitions. worldwide, including UGLE, Scotland, major Grand Lodges in the United States, as well as Europe, Africa, Asia, and Australia. We got recognition from the Grand Lodge of Japan, the Philippines, even China. And I said most of the Grand Lodges in the United States because we have established communication maybe with about between 7 or 8 Grand Lodges. But most of the Grand Lodges in the US, we have mutual recognition. We don't have actual any lodge that works in other foreign language. Okay. We are open to do it. We just don't have the people to do it. Remember, we got to have at least 7 master masons which speak our language to
Correct.
carry on the project. So till right now, we were trying to do one emulation. Remember, I was initiated in the United States. So, but it's just difficult because we don't have enough people to do it. So we don't have any lodges that speak in another foreign language.
I know you are international officer for Demolay for Honduras. Please tell us about this charge, Masonic charge of you, please.
Okay. It's a very difficult task. It has been. It hasn't been easy. The idea came in 2018, where I met the international Demolay authorities in Bolivia, Santa Cruz de la Sierra. But in Honduras, Central America region, and the Caribbean, we had other organizations similar to Demolay, similar to a certain point. It's called AJEF, Asociación de Jóvenes Esperanza para el Futuro. But it's more like a mini lodge. And the majority of the people were members were the sons of the brothers.
Yeah.
Did not have the same purpose or the same objectives. So we have a little resistance. Said, look, we have Demolay. I mean, we have AJEF. We shouldn't have that. We should. So it took a while. So I said, well, maybe when I become a grandmaster, we can make things happen. One of the things is that I had to appoint executive officer. And about 4 years ago, I appointed a specific person, which was not able to do it due to different reasons. And it took over a year and a half to let me know that he wasn't going to be able to do it. Then the second person exactly did the same thing and was not able to do it. Why? Because I needed somebody that spoke English in order to represent Honduras internationally, somebody that had the time to travel or to mobilize, to learn the process and procedures, guidelines. And last year, I spoke with Steve Crane and John Seller, and I said, can I be the executive officer? He said, you're the grandmaster, you can do anything. And I said, well, but with that is the responsibility. So I said, I will accept the responsibility because I want this project to make it happen. And this is where I have to extend my gratitude, my special thanks to Brother Aurel Manea, that he was able to say, look, if you get the people, I will be able to provide some type of help. And those two things together, we created a jurisdiction where we had over 80 young kids. We were initiated in February this year, creating one jurisdiction which has 3 chapters. We have 4 more chapters to create because this kind of woke up the enthusiasm of the kids, the parents, and the brothers from Demolay, because one lodge has to be able to sponsor a chapter. Even though Demolay, we're not teaching kids to become Masons. We teach them specific qualities. And that's the mistake that many people do. Okay, we teach them how to become the future leaders, public speaking, etiquette, financial management. We teach them a lot of qualities along with the sports and all the fun activities for the kids. But our objective is to create future leaders, which wasn't easy. But hopefully, after I leave my office as a Grand Master next year, I will be very busy and concentrated on this new project that we have started, not only for Honduras, but also Central America, because this is like a pioneer. We will be able to help these other countries because of the good relationship that we had between the Grand Masters in Central America and the Caribbean.
The English-speaking Grand Lodges are losing membership. It is the same situation in Honduras. What kind of politics do you have for retaining membership? What is the average age of the members?
Okay, this is true. Freemasonry is not only losing memberships, but we also have a difficult time to attract young generations to come into our order. It's maybe because of different regions, which we can probably discuss right now. We can discuss it later. We ask members to live their lives according to specific principles that are guided by our Masonic values. And some people are not willing to do that. Like our Masonic values say you need to stay away from the fanatism, okay? From bad habits, we call vicious. And a lot of people, they say, yeah, I want to be away from the fanatism. I want to, from the bad habits, los vicios, okay? And then at the end, people, when you are inside, oh, this is too strict for me. The Masonic life is a way of life. You teach them how to become a good father, a good son to your parents, a good husband. Masonic is a way of life. And a lot of people are not willing to live that style, especially young men. When I say young men, I'm talking about 21 to 30, okay? Mm-hmm. And then you tell them, look, you need to be at the lodge, you need to do this, you need to stay away, you know? We're not telling you not to drink. We're telling you not to become drunk and give a bad example to us. So other people, what happens is that they forget about their oath. Then they are more ambitious. Some of them, they come for, can I get a job? Can you, it's like we are employment office. You know, I want you to get me a job. I'm here to make money, power, egos, and that's everywhere. That's not only specifically here.
Absolutely.
You know that, you know, right now, the majority of our members are over 50, and about approximately 25% are between 20 to 50 years old. But we still have a good amount of young, new Master Masons. So the situation is, it's not just for one country. It's very difficult because we haven't been able to adapt to the new era of the technology. Like I said, we can talk about this, you know, right now. We can talk about at a later time, but we have to be able to attract good men that has good qualities, but you have to be able to entertain them. How? What does the word entertainment means? You have to give them tasks. You have to tell them, look, you are a lawyer. Okay? You are good at doing this. So I want you to teach the members, not anybody else. Mm-hmm. How did you get there? And use those specific qualities, kind of like we call it strength, and it's called SWOT, SWOT.
Yes.
Strengths, weaknesses, you know, opportunities. So we have to be able to do that because everybody has their abilities. Not everybody is homogeneous. We have a heterogeneous community in Freemason.
Very nice. Yeah. Christian, what are the relations of the Grand Lodge of Honduras with the authority of the state? What are the relations of your Grand Lodge with the church?
Okay. Since 1954, we got our personería jurídica as our entity
yes,
that is given by the government. Okay. We have an excellent relationship. We never had any problems whatsoever until the present. We haven't had any problems. Regarding with the churches, we found a lot of emblems and symbolisms in the old churches, which were brought by the Spaniards, and which eventually they were removed. You know that there was a lot of they're called bulla masonica. It's like a decree, okay?
I know.
That broke the relationship between the Catholicism and Freemasonry.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I want to share something with you very special, that the church has not come out in public and talk bad about Freemasonry at all. Even though in the 1950s and 60s, they prohibit Freemasons, they knew, to go to church.
Mm-hmm.
But in my city, in the 1950s, there was a hurricane and the church was destroyed. And who helped rebuild the church? Freemasons. Freemasons, and they were the ones that were more charitable. They provide money and materials to help rebuild the church. And then we have been in harmony. The other side of the coin is that the evangelical churches are a little bit more drastical. They're looking at us completely different. They prohibit their members to become Freemasons. And in many ways, is a bit complex, you know. Nevertheless, we have some attacks from fanatics, evangelical churches, and the problem is they're not willing to sit down and discuss this type of things with people that have the knowledge to actually say, look, you're not what you think we are not what you think we are. Including in the parades for the Independence Day, they used to put Freemasons with the church leaders. Not mixed, but you know, one behind the other. And some of them didn't like it. And then I had to talk to some people which we can establish communication, we can establish a good conversation. And I said, look, this is what we do. We have what we call tenidas blancas, meetings, you know, like which are open to the public to educate the people. Okay, so normally we have guests, specific guests, and we have invited specific leaders from the churches, so they can come. They can come to our temple, and then they can see and what we talk about. And some of them have been able to learn more. Wow, you know, we didn't think this is what you guys were doing. So, you're not going to tell me everything that happens in your church if I'm not a member, right? Yeah, you're right. So why am I going to tell somebody about Freemasonry if he's not a Freemason? So we cannot have double standards, because a lot of people say, well, we want to know what happens there. Well, you want to know what happens there, you need to be in.
Absolutely.
But don't criticize Freemasons. So,
from your international Masonic experience, you have noticed differences between Eastern and Western European Freemasonry, between South and North America. What kind of Freemasonry do you think is closer to what Freemasonry should be?
And this is a very tough question, like I mentioned to you before. First of all, I became a Freemason in Florida. And I learned the emulation right, but I learned Scottish right in Honduras. All Latin America and the Caribbean come from Albert Pike's principle. And for this, people have to learn a little bit, okay? You have to know about who was Albert Pike, who was Andres Casar, who was Viriato Covadonga. Okay? Those are the people that were able to translate all the rituals to the Spanish, which settled in Cuba. Cuba spread to Dominican Republic, then Supremo Consejo Granadino in Colombia, which gave the charters to people in Mexico, South America, the Libertadores, the libertators such as Simón Bolívar, O'Higgins, José San Martín. All those Libertadores, they are the ones that helped the foundation to free or emancipate from the Spaniards, their countries. In my country, in Central America, we're one of the libertadores, Francisco Morazan, Benito Juarez, in Mexico. So most of Latin Americans, which I enjoy the most, because it's a bit different from emulation. Emulation, you have to learn everything from the mouth to the ear. You are not permitted to write, say, or read, or do anything, which is good. It's very orthodox. Okay? But I feel more Freemasonry in the Scottish Rite because you do pieces of work. We talk about a topic and you write about the topic and how is that topic has influenced your life, has affected your life. And you share that because it's a way of life. Freemasonry is a way of life. And then it's like, I learned many things which have shaped my life, my values to Masonry. Now, Europe is a bit different. And I want to say, just from a perspective where I have seen, I haven't been into many lodges in Europe, so I cannot be very critical about it. Okay, but I know that there is a big difference between Eastern Europe and Western Europe. Huge difference. Even though most of them are under the Scottish Rite principle. Like, how do I know that? Because I see their rituals, their manuals, and some of them are very similar to ours in Latin America. Obviously, in a different language. Okay, and like I said, I'm not an expert. I haven't had that opportunity. I would love to. I would love to be like Tom Jackson, have the ability to travel through Europe and experiment, spend maybe a month in each country and write and learn about the different type of lodges and stuff. But I haven't got to that point yet.
Do you think that nowadays world needs Freemasonry like in the past? Freemasonry is somehow eroded? Does Freemasonry become more a charity organization? What is the situation in your country?
First of all, the world needs Freemasonry.
Perfect.
Many ways. For many ways. Jose Marti from Cuba, which is that leader, he said that if the world knew or know about Freemasonry, it will be a better world. Just because of our principles that we install, teach to our members. Where else you gonna tell? You need to be a good father. You need to be a good son. You need to be a good husband. You need to be very productive for society. Respect your elders. Respect your authorities. Okay, if we will do that, if everybody like that will be a Freemasonry, it will be a better world. So, Freemasonry has been eroded for many reasons. We are living in a world with many detractors, lies, power, hunger, hate, because we have chosen not wisely for members to come into Freemasonry. And we have been destroyed from within. But this is not new to Freemasonry. And we know that. We know that because, Brother Hiram Abif was destroyed from within, not from outside. So, like I said, Freemasonry now does some charity work as well as to complement our real mission. But there are many Grand Lodges that have more money to spend than others. So they dedicate their time to do that type of activities. Other Grand Lodges are limited. They have limited resources, limited funds. So it's but little charity work that is being done. But it is done in many other ways. We do labor, hand labor. We go help to build stuff. We go during floods, hurricanes. We go help and do other stuff like that to the best of our abilities to do, because we don't have the resources. We don't have the money. But Yes, you're right. Most of the Grand Lodges that have economic resources, they do dedicate a lot of charity work, even though that shouldn't be their first um, purpose for a
Purpose.
Freemason.
Correct.
First of all, you need to work on yourself, like the rough ashlar. You need to work on you first before you start helping others.
Correct. What is the most difficult problem facing Freemasonry today?
There's a lot of stuff that we're facing. The major problem we're facing is that we have integrated well the different generations. We not forget who we are, where we come from, and where we should be heading. But we have to integrate modern world without losing the essence to attract new adepts. What exactly does that mean? That the people that we're going to attract to Freemasonry, they're going to be the future leaders. They're going to be the future leaders in your communities and your countries. So therefore, you have to be able to filter them really well before they come to Freemason. Okay. Remember, there is a saying that you cannot throw pearls to the pigs. Why?
I agree.
Because not everybody's going to be able to understand our knowledge, our studies. Okay. So problems have always existed from many directions, but we have to focus our values and the pillars which should rise and strengthen for the future. And that's the real Freemasonry that we need to focus on.
The public perception of Freemasonry has changed over time. What has led to these variations? A good public perception results in an increase in number of members.
First of all, Freemasonry has been looked for as a detractor, as a religion, as a sect, always. Okay?
Correct.
But it has been changed a bit. Remember that we cannot live from the past. I cannot keep saying that 16 presidents, 17 presidents of the United States were Freemasons. In Honduras, yes. In Honduras, 7 presidents were Freemasons.
Wow.
Yes. But we need to focus on the actual situation. We need to prepare for the future. The public influence a bit, but not as much. Remember that Freemason is open for everybody. And not everybody can be a Freemason. Not everybody can be a Mason. And in order for us to increase our membership, we have to let the community know why you want to be a Freemason. In the United States, they have to be one as one. But we need to be role models. People that say, wow, he is a Freemason. I want to know why he became a Freemason. So we need to have people that are good in their heart.
How do you see the future of Freemasonry, Christian?
Right now, it's hard to tell because it's going to depend on the leadership of each Grand Lodge, and each individual that is representing us each time we wear a lapel. This is just like what I was mentioning to you before. Okay? If we bring good people, okay, because when I say good people, I don't mean, I need to bring doctors, lawyers, engineers. No.
Good men.
I want to share something with you, especially in my city. The first Freemasons that we have, Spanish speaking, from our lodge. My lodge was founded 31st August 1927. We're going to be almost 100 years in the next couple of years. The majority of them were teachers. They used to teach. That's where their vocation. Correct. And when they used to teach values, they used to teach principles, respect the authorities, be a patriot, teach them patriotism, teach them how to become better members in society. So during those years after they died, in my city, there is over 7 and 8 schools, elementary schools and high schools named after Freemasons. What does that tell you? That they left a footprint in
Absolutely.
our community, because that's what Freemasonry used to care about. Not how much money you have, not how much money you can make, or if I'm going to make a palace as a lodge. No, we still have an old lodge. Well, not the original one. The original was made out of wood, and then it became destroyed after 50 years, 50, 60 years. Then they rebuilt one in 1960s. But the thing about it is that the future of Freemasonry is going to depend on the quality of men that we attract, and then the seeds and the values that we're going to install in those future Demolays, which they're not only going to become leaders, but they also have a good potential to be good members, always to make them better in society.
Please let us know your curriculum vitae, both profane and Masonic.
Okay, real quick, as you know, I became a Mason in Florida, United States, in 2000, where I was initiated, passed, and raised the sublime degree of Master Mason. Due to my commitment to the military, it was very hard to give myself 100% as I wanted to be, although I was kind of young. So different times, I have different goals in my life and I want to make a parenthesis here. Okay, that's why people at a younger age, is very hard to understand Freemasonry. As you get older, you understand Freemasonry better, even though some people that might not agree with me, but that's just the way it is. Your priorities when you are 20s are not the same when you are 40s and 50s. They're not the same. And when you're a family member, it's completely different, because you have probably been a mentor already. Mentor to who? To your son and daughters. So I moved on to the chairs in my lodge, but because I had to move because of the military, then I went to Jacksonville University while in the military. I got my commission as an officer, a naval officer. I have a bachelor's degree in science in biochemistry, a bachelor's degree in science in chemistry. I have a bachelor's in arts and science in biology. I have a doctor in medicine from the University of Florida. I have a master's in public health and in epidemiology. When I moved to Honduras, I earned a master's degree in business administration with focusing in hospitals because of my background. When I moved to Honduras, I became a member. Moved to Honduras in 2009. I became a member of my lodge here, Estrella del Norte número 5, from here, Puerto Cortés. It was a bit of difficult to interact with the brothers. The majority were over 60, 70 years old. And probably, I don't think they were ready for my type of leadership, or they had other priorities. So that's the reason why I kept studying here. When people say, why you study so much? Well, if I have that opportunity to study my life, I would be in the university for the rest of my life. Just love reading, studying. But I learned that Freemason here was different where I came from. There was a bit of a different, even though I was born here in the city, but because of my background, Freemasonry in English, the first thing they told me is, look, this is not the United States. Okay, this is different. So I had to learn. I had to get books. I have books. I have acquired books from brothers from the 1940s and about Freemasonry. And once we're done here, I will share to you about, just like you, you have a library, but just show you quickly here. Most of my books I have a book from the 1800s, what I'll show you. It's a relic. Let me see if I can get it. This is one of my favorites. It's called Manual de la Masonería by Andrés Casar from 1858, I think. Okay, this is the original, brother. Original.
Yes. Yes.
I have the original acta, which was from 1826 and 1827 when my lodge was created. This is the original one.
Libro de actas.
Okay.
Wow.
Yes, this is the first one. I have it in my possession because I had to send it to get because there was water, there was everything there, so it was ruined. So I have it here. So as you can see, I have different books which I can share. I love reading. As you can see, I'm a proud American and also a Honduran.
Absolutely.
But one of the things is that coming to Honduras was a bit difficult because I lived in the United States for so long, okay? And I wanted to keep originality of Freemasonry, but I love the Scottish Rite. I learned so much. We have, and I will share it to you, it's called Código Moral Masónico. If you've never seen it, I will share it with you. It's a code, Masonic code, that you don't have it in emulation. You don't have it in the United States. The ritual is completely different. The essence of the ritual in the Scottish Rite is beautiful. I became a junior warden. Then I became a master in my lodge for 6 consecutive years. I was the master, not because I wanted to, but I kept chosen and chosen and chosen and chosen, and serving as a master in my lodge gave me that opportunity to serve in Grand Lodge as well. I serve as a junior Grand Warden, senior Grand Warden. I became the assistant secretary to the Grand Secretary. And then 4 years, I was the Grand Secretary and Chancellor before I became the Grand Master. Grand Master, I was elected for 2 years, and they re-elected me unanimously for the first time in the history. And then I'm serving my last term, which I will be gladly and honorably give up February 2026. So I have approximately 6 months left, and it's been an exciting path and career. I love it. I have enjoyed it, but it's time for somebody else to carry on the load that I have left to make things happen. In my profane world, I have 3 kids. I have a daughter. She's going to be 13. I have a son that is 11. And I have a son that is 4. All my kids are U.S. citizen and they have a dual citizenship. And my wife, she's a dentist. I've been married now for almost 12 years. We used to have a hospital, but due to government reasons, they never pay us. And then we provide service to them for quite a while, and then they didn't pay us, so we had to close. So right now, I'm retired from the military.
Yeah.
And that allows me to survive here with my retirement. So it gives me time to volunteer and do other stuff, And one of the stuff that I do is I teach at a high school level, and mentor specific kids and different type of subjects, chemistry, biology. I used to teach at the university in San Pedro Sula, but it's over an hour drive one way and it's just like I wasn't going to put my body to be traveling and stress and and just to get paid for minimum, it wasn't worth it. So right now I have dedicated myself to Freemasonry. And I used to enjoy playing football, but because I have bad knees and I have gained so much weight, well, you saw me in Romania. Um, I'm not as slim as I used to. Used to be very slim. So now on my free time, I'm trying to enjoy my kids, my family. I try to go to the beach. I live 4 blocks away from the beach, and very warm because my city is the Caribbean water, so very warm water. Not like in Europe. It's very cold.
Correct.
But trying to read as much as I can, try to help, as much as I can. So that's my profane curriculum, style, life, and Freemason.
Yes. And finally, I kindly ask you to say a few words for our readers, specifically for Masonic Forum readers. And I ask you this because this year I celebrate 25 years since I founded Masonic Forum magazine, and I intend to publish a book with interviews. Also, our interview will be published in that book, not only in the next issue of Masonic Forum, and to publish the last book of Tom Jackson. And this is why I kindly ask you to say a few words for our readers, for our magazine. Please.
Well, first of all, I would like to congratulate you on the work and effort that you do for Freemasonry. Freemasonry is not only in Europe, but also in many countries around the world. Some of these countries have obtained their freedom due to their libertadores, the free thinkers. Thank you for giving me that opportunity to share a piece of my Masonic heart and knowledge to you in the Masonic world. I encourage you to keep working very hard, reaching many other small lodges, grand lodges, and brothers, which possess so much knowledge, wisdom that may benefit not only brothers, but society. Okay? This has come from the bottom of my heart. The work that you have done, I didn't know that you had a close relation with Tom Jackson, but I met Tom Jackson in 2018 in Panama for the World Conference. Amazing guy. Like I said, I told him joking around. I said, look, I wish I can do that one time in my life, travel and to experience the Masonic world worldwide. It's not easy because you can only do that maybe when you are older, when your kids are gone, when you don't have as much responsibilities. For me, it will be very difficult right now because I have young kids. But, my love for Freemasonry is maybe not as much as yours because you've been 25 years doing that type of work. Like I say, I commend you on that. That's outstanding. And, I just like to say these few things in Spanish, me despido con un fuerte triple abrazo fraterno desde Honduras, with much love to the Masonic world.
Muchas gracias, Christian. Thank you so much.
Un piacere.
Fantastic.